everyone. My name is Tina, and with me I have Professor Ogola Fred. Fred, welcome to my show.
Thank you very much, Tina.
I am so elated and excited to have you on the show because we have been watching you. We have seen the great work that you've been doing, especially with the Gen Z revolution.
Yes.
So I want to welcome you to the show, and I'm sure we are going to learn so much about you and so much about everything that's happening to our country that's important to you, to me, the Gen Zs, and the public. Sure. Welcome to my show.
Thank you very much, Tina.
I'm going to start by asking you, who is Professor Fred Ogola?
Yeah, so I'm a strategist, economist, and governance expert, but that's my profession. But of course, I'm a father. I'm a father to a boy and 2 girls, beautiful ones.
Awesome.
I'm sure that there'll be a lot of what they call dogs, and I have to put some dogs to scare some people from this because the mother comes from one of the most beautiful communities in Kenya. So
which is? I would love to know which one that
Taita
is.
Taveta.
Oh, good. I mean, that's a score.
Let me tell you, so many Luos who went to Mombasa, trying to come back to Kisumu to get a wife, they never go past Voi. When they reach Voi, it's just like the railway.
They get stuck.
You get stuck. I mean, if you pass there without getting a wife, you'll never get married.
Would that mean that the man is weak, or what would that mean?
I think mostly is that the women are beautiful.
Or they don't have eyes.
The Taita women are beautiful, and those who I think that they make some of the best wives, I think. I don't think anybody would complain about a Taita wife by relating to where they come from. I'm sure also, you know, we have the women from the Kikuyu area. They're also very beautiful women. But of course, people say they beat men. But I think they beat men who are not doing what they need to do. So I'm a father. I'm a husband. But also, I would say that I'm a very well brought up in terms of my faith. If there is anything that we can disagree with you that we cannot reverse, is what I believe in. So I live as I believe. I know Whitney Houston says that I don't care whether you like me or not, but at least I live as I believe. And I think that is what is important. My faith becomes first after everything. And I'm sure that will explain to you some of very controversial decisions I've made. Like one of them, I've been questioned so hard, why do you marry your late wife's cousin?
And I was going to ask that, but I was holding back.
Yeah, but
so can you explain to me how that happened?
You know, of course, my wife passed on in a very difficult circumstances. And of course, then I had the cousin of my late wife who, after my wife was buried, I think they must have been very close with my late wife. But you know, I'd never met her. I did not know her. She didn't even come for our wedding. So she used to frequent coming to see my son, who was left at 6 weeks old. So as they continued building a bond and the rest, so you know, the only thing that I had in this world
Okay, so wait. So after your wife passed on, she left you with a 6-week-old little boy.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So with a 6-week-old baby, I was living with him, and then I brought my sister to stay with me, because I had said forever, ever, I'll never get married.
At that time, were you a lecturer at Strathmore?
Yes.
When that happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had said, I don't want to get married at all. I don't want women next to me. So I just wanted my sister and my son. So of course, they built bond. I know this son meant a lot to me because he was the only child I had, and was the first born to my wife. And I was having a lot of attachment. So when they got so close to each other, I started seeing that she was very positive. Remember that the death of my wife brought a lot of acrimony between my family and the family of my late wife, because I was accused to have played a hand in her death.
Why? Because I was doing research on you, and I realized that played along for some time.
Yeah.
Why were you accused of, you know, killing of your wife or her death?
First of all, she was still very young.
Okay.
And then she was not sick. She died abruptly. She prayed for me lunch on 31st of December, 2017. She prepared for me lunch and I ate. And how do you explain that the next day at 10 a.m. she's dead? You know, I would feel that anybody would suspect. Of course, even me, I could not explain to anybody how this could happen. I was the only one who was her. So it's only after doing 4 postmortems that nothing could show. Everything was corroborated that it is not anything external. She had immobilus, which means the clotting of the blood in the heart and the brain. So that's what killed her. So, after all those being done, the time I would understand the family knew this was their firstborn, and she was a very lovely woman.
Okay.
And anybody losing such a woman I would feel their pain. That's why I didn't, even after they accused me of killing her, I was in a cell for 27 days. I still could still forgive them because I would understand that she was a very good woman, that anybody would feel bad to lose.
Yeah.
So, because my current wife was like she did not have that enmity because some of them ran away from me after the burial. She came closer. Then I went to review her social media.
When you say some ran away from you, who do you mean? Do you mean family?
Yeah, you see the mother-in-law, the sister-in-law, the brother-in-law, and even the people from Mundanyi, because she comes from Mundanyi. There was a lot of negativity. Remember that it was breaking news in newspaper, TV stations. New Year, normally there's not too much news like now. We have too much news that every day there's a lot of things which we uncover.
Yeah.
That time it was just about your lifestyle. Maybe you are taking alcohol or something. So it was the most trending news. And it wasn't a very easy time for me and my family. So they were more or less seeing that you are a killer. When someone says you are a killer, everybody ran away. In fact, even friends ran away, not just their family.
Even friends?
Yes, even Strathmore separated themselves from me at that time.
Oh, wow.
They were actually feeling that maybe I could have done it, you understand? So that is the time when I tell people, and I don't want to go to the long story, but let me tell you one thing that I learned at a very young age, which keeps me going. That bank first on God. Because there's no one who banks on God that has ever been let down.
No.
The second person to bank on is your bank account. Because when you bank something in the bank account, your bank account can never let you down.
It's your own bank account.
Yes. So when friends left me, I was with God, but I used to work very hard and save money. And that's I can even tell Genz is, even if you want to demonstrate, you want to do anything, if you can find some time to work and save money, the day the bullet will hit you on the street, it will be God with you and your bank account.
And your bank account.
I'm not saying that they have job opportunities. I'm saying any time when you're in trouble, the two people who can let you down is God and bank account.
Now, on that topic, which I've been doing so much research on, and I think I'm leaning more towards that, I've come to realize in our existence currently, and in Kenya, we are seeing more of single fathers who have left their wives than before. What advice would you give to a single father who is a widower, who has lost a wife, tragically and things like that? Because I'm seeing more of single fathers. Before we used to talk of single mothers, but now we are seeing single fathers. What advice do you have for them?
First of all, I'll tell them that being a single father, you'll be a better father than just a father.
Yeah.
Because there's no single father who can be a bad father, because you're the only parent. So you also feel responsible. So I think it is maybe I can say it's an opportunity to become a better father than just a father. Because, for example, I look at my son, Mattis. I'm the only parent.
How old is he right now?
He's 6 years old.
6 years old.
So I look at him, then I look at my other two daughters. So my other two daughters, I know they have a mother. So I'm more or less like, they have a mother. You understand? But here, if you're a single father, you know that if you don't do anything, nothing happens to your children. And then secondly, I know that it's not easy, but people will tell you so many theories like, take this child away from you, let someone take care of it, let them come when they're bigger. But I can tell you, it's an opportunity to relate with the children so closely. Nobody should be taken away from their parents just because of circumstances. I've seen some single fathers who choose to say, let me give my child to my sister to stay with because I'm incapable. You are incapable. Create the environment at home. There's a lady who was a very good friend of mine who came and told me that she had set up a whole setting up in her house, plus a nurse, plus everyone talking about my son, give me your son because you can't. I told her, do the setup in my house because I want to wake up and see my son. It is the only hope, the last hope I have in this world. So I'm encouraging them that you can be a very good parent. It will make me what better, because you'll be in every clinic that the child goes to. You'll be in every part of his life. When he's going to school for the first day, you'll be there, because if you're not there, there's no parent.
Yeah.
Whether it's school, so even today I was in a review session for my son's academics. I was there when the teacher was explaining something. I understand why he behaves this way, because I know how he behaves like that. Because, for example, my son is struggling with good handwritings. So today I was saying that I wanted to tell the parent that, teacher, why don't you make him write well? But I also have very bad handwriting. So I was feeling that people with high energy, people who think very fast. I'm not saying some people don't think, but I'm saying people think fast with high energy. They tend to have very poor handwritings, because their thinking cannot go as fast as they can write.
Yeah.
So I was feeling for him that he still has bad handwriting, but I can see I struggle and I never succeeded. I can never write for a year later. I'll type it, because it will be very bad. So it's a time that you have to really enjoy it, because there's the bad side of that you lost your wife. That is something you can't change. But what you can change is how you relate with your child that has been left with you, and you can succeed.
To me, I think I'm a grief expert. You know, I have gone through grief and pain and loss of someone that I love now, or people that I love. Now, the day you lost your wife, or the day you lose someone you love, you sit down and it hits you. And you're like, how will my tomorrow be? So how did you balance between losing your wife and being called a killer and taking care of your son? How did you balance the two?
Maybe I think what I can say there is just that you cannot say as a human being that you can explain that. I think that we give credit to God, because I can't understand even how that was going. But I think there were a lot of tensions. I had a lot of tensions. One, you lost your wife, so you are grieved. Two, you have a son who needs someone to take care of. Three, you have a case you have been arrested with. And four...
Were you arrested?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was in a cell for 27 days.
And you have a 6-week-old baby?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was not a very easy...
So at that time, who was taking care of the baby?
I think my sisters came home, and they were taking care of him when I was away. But even that was even danger, because so many people are coming home, and you know they want to see the baby who has been left, and that's danger, because you know viruses, bacteria, and also the baby being held by. So you know I had to do a lot of things. Even when I'm cell, make serious decisions, like said, isolate him, put him in that room, let him not be part of the morning. You know, traditionally that is not very good, but scientifically it is sound. So what I can tell you, Tina, which I learned, whenever you are in trouble, that's when you need your best brain alert.
Exactly.
So I was able to try to leave the emotions of losing my wife and to take charge mentally of the situation until I have dealt with the things which were urgent. Then I went back to mourn. Unfortunately, it looks bad. Some people say, you should just mourn. Let me give an example. You are on the highway. You are doing 120 kilometers an hour. And then somebody slides on your path. Should you first of all shout that you're going to make an accident or stop the car is when you shout later. So when you are in this very difficult situation, you lost a wife, you are in a court. You know, also I was dealing with the court process, not just being in the cell.
Oh my God.
And investigation are taking place. If you don't get the postmortem right, at the same time you'll be jailed. So there are too many things in the air. So I was able to decongest, we call it episodic feelings. Can you put your feelings in different positions? And let me relate something here with William Ruto, what he's going through now. You know, there's what you call presidential point. The president is a husband. He goes to the wife, and here the country Genz is burning, isn't it? Do you take the pressure of Genz to your wife in the bedroom? No. You have to just lock the Genz and go to your bedroom and be a man in the bedroom, isn't it?
Yes.
But also you are a father to the kids, isn't it? The kids don't want to know that the country is burning and they're saying Ruto must go. You understand? At the same time, you have Raila to talk to, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have Rigathi Gachagua to talk to. How can you cut your feelings and emotions and put them in the different context and give every emotion what it deserves?
Yes.
If you meet your mother, I think yes, his mother, isn't it? And the mother comes, my son, come and say hi to me. You don't come to cry to your mother about Genz. You enjoy the childhood that you are, even if you are a president. So even in this context, what helped me was when I was judges, I was to focus on the case.
Let's
When
start,
I'm in the
let's
police
start
station,
here. Where were you being detained? Which?
actually I was detained in 9 police stations, police cells.
Oh, wow.
I was in Mudangari, I was in Kabete, I was in Upper Hill, I was in Mudaiga, I was in, let me just say 9 police stations. I was being moved at each and every time.
So at this point, you're being moved from one jail cell to the other. You've lost your wife. You have a 6-year-old. Continue.
Yeah, so I'm saying that at that point, what was important was how to put your emotions differently. Because sometimes also I was given sometimes, like in the beginning, in the evening, to spend some time with my son and just see him.
So the baby was being brought to you?
No. I think through the 27 days, 6 times, I went home, showered, and just held him.
Oh.
So when you're holding him, you know, for him, he's an innocent child who does not know that you are in a cell. You have to look at him with love as if there's nothing happening, only him. So I believe what has made me learn was how to segment emotions and separate emotion from the other.
For the sake of my viewers who are mothers, I would like to ask this question. What were you feeding the baby? Because the mom is no more, daddy is not there. So what was the baby? Was it breast? What were you feeding the baby?
By the way, this is something that is, for me to, for even the viewers to get these things clearly, let me just explain how this happened and just to put the context what happens. I took my wife to hospital in Aga Khan. And, you know, she was breastfeeding by then. There was no formula we ever bought. And then I was carrying the baby with me, and she's here in a sick bed, she can't talk. But I was praying that soon she'll be okay and feed the baby, breastfeed the baby. So the first thing dawned on me when the nurses told me, sorry, Fred, she won't be able to breastfeed today, so start buying the formula. You know how it hits you.
Hits you hard.
So from Aga Khan, there's a shopping center there. I went and bought the baby formula. I went with my son home plus the house help. Then we prepared the formula. I was actually learning to prepare the formula for the first time because this is the first child, and it is just 6 weeks since he was born. So we prepared the formula. Then by the time I was now being arrested, I had known how the formula is done because we were doing the formula that evening because we took her to hospital around 5 p.m. and she died the next day at 10 a.m. So I was already doing the formula with him. And then, of course, people had so many suggestions, and that's the time, again, you have to know which information you take, which advice you take, and you have to synthesize what is important and what's not important. Then, of course, after she died, of course, in the evening, we took her to the mortuary. Another surprising moment is that night, which is on 1st of January, 2018, I was with him in the bedroom, because I was taking care of him. You know, that love, I was with him because my sisters were there. They could say, bring me water, but you're the one with him. When I left the bedroom in the morning, I found 26 policemen in my sitting room.
Oh, my goodness.
And I thought, as the chairman of the estate, I was thinking that maybe there's some theft case they're coming to investigate. They asked me, who is the owner of this house? I said, I am the one. Are you Fred Ogola? Yes. Follow us. So that's when it was like, it is me. So those moments were there. So I'm now realizing I'm doing it. So I had to come back again and give instructions. Do this, feed this way. I also thought I was going to record a statement and coming back. Only that after that, you're being told, now you're not going back until. Now you're going to Kabekte. Now you have to go to DCI headquarters. Now you have to go to Mudaiga. So it became... things change. You remember when you're arrested here, if you've ever been arrested, for us now we've been arrested until we do not care. Always when arrested, it looks very normal and start getting ugly, then you leave at the ugliest hour. So that's what happens. When you're leaving now, things are even getting thick. So, I mean, those moments were hard, but of course the baby was fed in a formula. My sister, one of my sisters had already 8 children, and she has been known to one of the most motherly ones. And I went and knelt before and told her, my sister, please come to my house and take care of my son. And I also had to kneel before the husband. And they accepted, which was difficult, of course, for you. I'm sure if now someone can come and tell you to leave your house, go and live with your brother, and your husband will only be talking to you on the phone, it is not very easy. But
It's
my
not
sister did this for us, and I think that's how it was very smooth. Yeah.
Okay. So between the time you were arrested and by the time you saw your son, it was 27 days, right?
Yes.
Were you able to make your wife's funeral? Like, did you go there? Were you able to go to your wife's funeral or attend your wife's funeral?
Actually, the case ended at Milimani locals when they discovered I have no case to answer. Then from there, I organized my wife's burial, and she was buried at our home in the graveyard where my father was buried, and it was a good closure, if you may want. But of course, what was hurting me was the postmortems which were done, which were not necessary. Yeah, you know, when someone does 4 postmortems, they cut all the tissues of the body. I'm sure it's not something that I felt very bad about it, but of course, it was a good closure. The burial took place, and even I'm happy that my wife's family attended the burial. So it was a very, let's say, an easy moment, but nevertheless, everybody handled themselves well, and it ended well. Of course, I am sure that the media did not do a lot of justice to me because, and I don't blame them because they are trying to report, but also they are not getting accurate information. So there are a lot of inaccurate information. But also understood they didn't mean it, so I didn't even take legal action. No, sometimes people see the media in a hurry, maybe if you are looking for money, but I look at the intention. I've trained national media group people, I've trained standard media group people, they are my students. I was saying, why do I take them to court and understand how the media works? If they had any ulterior motive, then you can say, let me go. But there was some misreporting, for example, but it was not necessary to take court action. So they even went up to the burial place. I was waking up in the morning on Sunday after burial, I'm seeing myself again on the front page, saying that finally be put to rest. Maybe I think the covering at home was more or less to have a closure again for the media, and I'm happy that since then they have tried to understand it and maybe to try to clarify a few stories that were not correct. And the closure was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, closure helps us go through healing. It's very important that you say that the closure was great.
Yeah.
Now, you were arrested, you lost your wife, I'm sure you felt some injustice was done to you. I just want you in a short format to tell me, how did you resolve in you everything that you went through and started the healing journey?
I think for me, the injustice which was being done, I think was more of the person who went to report to the police because they gave inaccurate information.
Okay.
For example, they say that I beat her and she died at home. Then I carried her to MP and then MP refused to admit her because she was dead. Then I was able to bribe Aga Khan, and then Aga Khan admitted her dead. Then I later said she died in Aga Khan. Now, you know, Tina, seriously, do you remember the story about when Kaiseri died, Minister Kaiseri? Kaiseri died, and then the media reported, actually the president issued a statement that he has died in Karen Hospital.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Karen Hospital did? They called on the media press and said, no, he died on the way, not in Karen Hospital.
Not in Karen Hospital.
Now, Tina, the question is, if Karen Hospital can fault the president's statement, what about Fred Ogola? How much money could the former president give Karen Hospital to buy his story? But how much money can I give Aga Khan to Aga Khan to report differently? So what helped me was that everyone who was in the process came out and testified. For example, the parish priest of St. Austin Parish came to give my wife the anointing of the sick. So when he was called to testify, he said that we don't anoint the dead, we anoint sick people. So she was sick. But the most substantive one was one DCI. So I know people don't like police investigators. Some people might not like the policemen or DCI, but there are some good souls inside there. Though somebody, actually he's from Somali community, I don't even remember his name, but he was from Somali origin. He took his time. I went to Aga Khan I went through the machines that showed the vital signs, and he was able to say that the vital signs, heart, lungs, everything was still being reported from 5:30 p.m. the day before she died. And the oxygen levels were okay, heartbeats were still perfect. The stroke came the next day that killed her. So those things made me feel like, even if you feel some people are bad, Tina, also it should make you feel good that there are some people also are incredibly good and they mean well. And I didn't pay those people anything. They never asked for anything. They didn't even, I don't even have their numbers. But they came out to tell a story when I'm in a cell and brought well. But another thing which also I would say was not good, and I have to say this whether you like it or not, I really don't have faith on the government pathologist of Kenya. I don't have faith in him.
No.
Yeah, and I'm telling anybody listening to me, the sooner that guy leaves those office, the better, because he holds a very serious position that requires some of the highest integrity.
Exactly.
For example, Kware, people died in Kware. If we have somebody like him in office, he's called Johansen Oduor, that person has no integrity. So even when he was doing research about the people who are put in Kware and given results, I cannot believe him. He did the one of Saitoti, I can't believe him. Ojode, I can't believe him. Even in Kaiseri, I can't believe him. Even if he did the one of Ogola, General Ogola, I can't believe him. So any pathologist case he has done, I can't believe him. And I have evidence. I'm not being told. Theory is evident. In my case, when he did the first postmortem, because if you ask why 4 postmortems, he did the first postmortem, then he said that Becky died natural death because it was a heart failure after what they call a clot in the heart. Then he said, however, Fred could have pushed her to launch a clot in the heart. Tina, I should be a very good expert to know how to push anybody so that the clot can launch in their heart and kill them. It is not medically proven anywhere. They cannot be proven. And you know why he was doing that? He was a government pathologist. At the same time, he was a pathologist for my wife's family.
Yeah.
So that shows that he was not independent. Of course, later, when we raised the issue that this is not reasonable, postmortem was repeated. So the family got another pathologist, who was the teacher of Johansen, Professor Ogola, who told the family, I've done this thing. This your daughter was died of a natural occurrence. There's no any external cause. Even forensic shows that. So imagine, again I tell you, there are some people who are very bad, but it gives you feel good that not all Kenyans are bad. People think all Kenyans are corruptible, all Kenyans are thieves, all Kenyans cannot say the truth. But you see, this lady, Professor Ogola, paid around 600,000 shillings by the family of my late wife, and she tells them the truth. Johansen paid 200,000 shillings, can't say the truth, and she holds a bigger position in society.
Yeah.
And I'm not having any problem with Johansen, because even I taught the wife in Strathmore. So I have no feelings about him. It's not like hatred, but I believe that what made me heal and give me hope, Tina, is that there are some people in this world who have still remained that they can stand and say the truth. And they can be able to stand firm and separate lies from truth. With that one, I'm sure you are able to live. But of course, mainly I know the power of forgiveness that is very important. That when you forgive, you have a lot of peace of mind. You have a lot of peace in your heart.
Forgiveness is for you, not for others.
Not for others. So I think that's what helped me also. Yeah.
So while you were telling that story, I captured that you do not have faith in the government pathologist.
I do not, and I will not have until he proves me
Otherwise. And you spoke about the quarry bodies that were being found a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. What is your take on that?
Well, you see, the body in Kware, I was in Kware.
You went there personally?
Yes, personally. In fact, I was doing a press statement there, and I even addressed the media, and I staged a mandamano in Kware. I ate tear gas in Kware. Those videos are alive. I can show them to you. a lot of problems there which are wrong with this country. Somebody came with 17 vehicles. This person happens to be Raila Odinga.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
I'm very, very passionate when it comes to integrity and the fairness of the justice system.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think this couples it all together.
Yeah.
You're saying you were there physically.
Yes.
It is not a told story.
No.
I want you to give us the raw in a short kind of,
So I'm trying
sentence.
to tell you the injustice I saw.
You were there. So can you explain to the Kenyan people the injustice you saw there?
I can tell you that from what I could see, and this was highly visualized, I have even discussed about the issue of ABC of investigations.
And I was going to ask you about
which was clearly violated. You could see the sacks where these people were to look too fresh, to believe that they have been there with them for long. The bodies had decomposed more that they could not be decomposing at the same time as the sacks.
Okay, wait.
So
So
you could
are you
tell
saying that the bodies had been there longer than
the
we were
bodies
being
were
told?
elsewhere.
Or okay.
the
okay.
bodies were somewhere when they had been, these people had been killed, put in something else, and they were packed in this thing and brought there. Then they were just discovered not long after they had been put. So this thing was saying that somebody was killing them since 2022 cannot be true.
Okay.
In fact, if you look at those bodies, a body that is composed in 2022 and the one in 2024 must look different. And I don't know even why I see the report comes from the government pathologist does not see this. And then they rush to start disclosing who was the one dumping the bodies. And you could see everything in Kware was stage managed.
Okay.
For example, I'll give you one.
So,
Where-
okay, let me start here. You feel that the bodies were somewhere else and moved to the quarry?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
continue.
and they had been there for some time and decomposed much further before being brought to Kware. And then these bodies, if you look at the decomposition of those bodies together, because I was actually at Kware police station where those bodies, some of them were lying just next to the police station, they looked like they were people who died on the same day.
Really?
Because if you look at the decomposition of the bodies, they seem to have decomposed the same rate, which means you can say this one was of 2022, this is 2023, and this is 2024. Then when they are talking about the issue of cult, isn't it? And then some talk about domestic violence. Unless some men had a conference and met and agreed that tomorrow all of us will beat our wives and throw them in Kware, it must be well organized.
So
There
is
must
it
be-
true that all of them, sorry to cut you short, but is it true that all of them were female?
Yeah, that is likely that is the case.
Okay.
But also we're having a suspicion that men are also somewhere next to Githurai in some quarry.
Somewhere.
We have a
Okay.
suspicion.
Okay.
In fact, I've talked to the Kenya National Human Rights Commission that there must be these male people who are killed and taken this way. That was a choreographed. The person who took those persons there, I said there must be an entity that executed that thing because the execution of all the bodies was very uniform. There must be one person who did all that, and there must be somebody who is organized. Do you want to tell me that that young man who was arrested can carry 12 bodies? Have you seen men who have tried to kill their wife and they cannot just remove one body and they are caught? One person to take 12, you need a truck. That man have no access to a truck. I don't know even that he knows how to drive a truck. I will ask them to show me his driver's license. Because if he didn't have a driver's license, he doesn't know how to drive, there must be somebody else who drove the body. And where is that person? Was he working alone or with a group? Do you know how it means to kill 12 people and take them to quarry? Do you know that operation? Have you seen just burying one person where we have so many pallbearers trying to put one body on a grave and it's even hard, some of them even fail? It's impossible, Tina. In fact, there's some logic which does not make sense. Like I said, there's what you call ABC of investigation. One, assume nothing. When you go to investigate anybody, don't assume anything until you have confirmatory evidence. So just don't assume anything. The second thing we say, which is B, is called believe nothing. So don't believe this man, don't believe that policeman, don't believe that other investigator, don't believe that woman who is talking, that man talking. don't believe anything, because when you go there with a belief, you can't investigate, because your belief will drive you towards what you believe in. Then lastly, check everything. Turn every stones. Did we check whether there was a war which took place before? Did we check whether there were some cults that live in Kware? Which are these cults? They say that must be a cultic move. Which cult? Because the cultic prayers, we found them in Shakahola. We knew who are the pastors, isn't it?
Yeah.
We knew who was. We could name names. But here there's a cult which does not exist, which has no leaders like Genz, but are ravaging people. It's not possible. So according to me, that violates. But for me, I'm talking about where I saw the biggest injustice. A government official, somebody, let me just say somebody in government, because he's in government, goes to Kware with 17 Land Cruisers, escorted by 25 police. And these policemen also have like 20 these police vehicles to protect the area. But the bodies are in the water, being removed using, I would call it a basin. Are you getting
What do you mean a basin? Like the one we use to shower?
The person was using something like a basin to fetch bodies from the water.
Oh my goodness.
Yet the policemen have 20 vehicles. You know, why don't you just take one crane?
Yeah.
A government official going with 17 vehicles, then telling people about the issue of dialogue. Do you want dialogue? No dialogue. So what I'm trying to say in short here, you see how our leaders think we are fools. If I can afford to be escorted anywhere with 17 vehicles, I've never been escorted even by 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can't I afford? You are the person who are donating money, 200 shillings each, to that young boy to go down to remove money and remove the dead bodies using a basin. Yet somebody has 17 vehicles and 20 policemen to guard him, and he didn't say anything about how to remove the bodies, and you could see the bodies in water, which means that this is something he knows. He knows why those bodies are there. He knows how they are there. He knows why they should not be removed, and that is not the discussion. Then addressing a rally at the site. You know, I'm trying to tell you that in this country, we have leaders who do not care about us.
Exactly.
And justice never be done. If you read the Bill of Rights, there'll never be any right for a Kenyan until we have the right person in State House. That's why we say that Ruto must go.
Before we get there, let's go to the bodies, because I have been reading a little bit about it and doing some research on it.
Yeah.
Number one, there were claims that these people had the Colgate or the toothpaste. Did you see that?
Yeah.
You saw it
like
with
the
your
body
own
that
eyes.
was in Kware, you could see this demonstrator.
Okay, so it was a demonstrator.
Yeah.
You feel,
Yeah.
let me use the word feel, that this was a demonstrator.
Yes.
So I think part of the revolution that we have been seeing with Gen Zs is where they're saying we need justice for these people who were murdered or killed during the demonstrations.
Yes.
Do you feel that there's justice to be served towards these people who were killed, and you feel that they were killed during the demonstrations?
Yeah, according to me, these are demonstrators. There are all signs to that. The thing which was happening in Kawangware, in Githurai, my suspicion is that that's where the bodies came from. The bodies were not in the Kware area, but these bodies were from where the massacre was taking place in Githurai. They separated men and women.
Okay.
And they decided even to cut them in pieces to confuse, because there was something very interesting there. That there's a sack, because this I'm getting intelligence from the Kenya National Human Rights Commission. So this, I'm a professor, so I just mark my word, this is correct. They had some places which had more than body parts of one human. You know, when you find a sack that has 3 legs, then this was being done to confuse even the issue of doing a postmortem. And also you could find there were some sacks where some body parts are not there. So you could find there were so many confusion that these people did, which means these people were just killed and were cut in masses and gathered like someone gathering a body of an animal, putting it somewhere to cook. So where there's a confusion, because you find a sack whereby there are more than 3 legs of a human being, and no human being has 3 legs. or one with more than 3 arms, or one where there are 2 heads. You could see the confusion there. So I'm realizing that that man alone could not be able to execute such a thing.
So you feel it was staged?
That was stage managed. This is the only person with such power is the state.
Yeah.
You know, there are some things in a certain scale that cannot be done by any other organization apart from the state.
Exactly.
The state has got monopoly of violence, they say. And I think that's what they did. So according to me, justice must be done to these people. And that's why the call, I almost use bad words because I'm getting angry. But the call for this convention, this call of dialogue and conversation should not take place. In my culture, when someone dies and has not had a closure, we cannot discuss anything else. For example, if you are coming to negotiate a dowry and you find somebody has died in that home, we host the funeral until everything has been cleared. So according to us, we are going into the table with somebody carrying blood on the hand, while other people are having clean hands. So as far as we're concerned, let us do justice for these people first. And in fact, there's no need of talking even, because for us, I believe that the president and the whole country, all leaders, have the manual to run the country.
So you feel that justice must be served first?
And talking, why? Let me just say why I don't want talking. I'm a governance expert. The country is run with 3 manuals. One is the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It is very clear what needs to be done to these people. There is nowhere we are going to discuss, isn't it? It's clear. If they have a right to life, the person who killed them should be taken to court, isn't it?
Yes.
And then jailed if they are found guilty. You understand? That's why are we discussing that? We have laws of Kenya, which are passed in parliament. They are also very clear on matters justice. They are clear about the issue of violence. They are clear about everything. And then lastly, we have what they call the policies done by ministries. So every answer is there on how to tackle this justice issue, and there's no need for anything like dialogue.
We are going to touch on the Finance Act and the Finance Bill. The Finance Bill, you know, sparked all the Gen Z revolution. I want you to walk us through what we learned from it, what we wouldn't have done better, and then any advice you'd have for the Gen Zs, what you think we achieved from the Gen Z's revolution. Walk us through all that.
First and foremost is that people are still talking about the 25th of June, but this thing began long before 25th of June. The revolution that has taken place by the Gen Z took place already in the space.
Okay.
You know, in marketing strategy, we talk between marketing place and marketing space. Place is physical. That's parliament, isn't it?
Yes.
But space is on space. If we went to space, discussion, you went to social media, already Ruto must go was there. It was clear, reject the finance bill, we do not want it. But remember that the rejecting of the finance bill was much higher because of what happened in the finance bill 2023. Because 2023, everybody not want it. Everybody gave a memoranda, social media, everyone knew it will not go through. But people said there's hope that the court will stop it. So went to court. Then the court actually stopped it. But then the president implemented in violation of the Constitution. Remember when people said that he was acting in contempt of court?
Yes.
And then even the meeting between Chief Justice and the President in State House, because people felt that the executive was not listening to them. And then Ruto being put as unstoppable, unstoppable. You know, the unstoppable headlines was all over the place. And he said that he has a lot of powers, no one can touch him. Akasema he has a knife, which is not meant for cutting burger. He was showing that he cannot be touched. So people were, the anger was too much. It was already boiling. Tina, I was on the street again in Parliament.
So are you a Gen Z or do you associate with the Gen Z?
I'm associated because they have done something that we couldn't do.
Yes.
I was in court with 46 petitions against this government for the things they're doing which are irregular and illegal. But I could not succeed because every time I went to court, you hear there's a judge who has made a ruling as if he's advising the president. There are some judges in High Court that gives ruling that are advising the president. Let me make that clear so that people don't think I'm just mentioning it. I remember when he went to court to challenge the Finance Act, there's a judge whom, instead of ruling according to the questions we asked, he was telling the government, if you do this way, then this Finance Act will be constitutional. That's not the work of a judge. You are not the Attorney General. It's Attorney General who is the legal advisor to the president, not you. And I would just put that judge clearly. That was Justice Mugambi. This is true. Then look at the ruling again. He made the same judge on the issue of deployment of the military in the CBD. He told them, if you demarcate the areas where the military should be and give what are the establishment of assets which are key, then it will be constitutional. Are you Attorney General? He was supposed to say that the prayer was one, that the deployment of military is unconstitutional and a violation of rights. You say yes. You don't have to advise the president because you're not an advisor. You are a judge. You should be neutral. So when we were not able to do that, Genz said, okay, Genz is something which is interesting. And when I think about Genz, I see them as mold breakers. They shatter the molds. They don't care about table manners. You know, we have put some table manners to stop some people from eating. But yet for us, we eat without table manners. So, for example, you are passing a bill which is unconstitutional, then you are telling me that I cannot demonstrate because it's unconstitutional. Now, you are a father. Why don't you show the example? You know, we say that your action speaks so loud that we can't hear what you are saying. So the president is contempt of court. Here, if you demonstrate, they say you are not allowed to do it, that you are breaking the law. I'll defend. So Genz came and shattered that mold totally. Look, before, they said before you do manamano, you have to send a notice to the police, isn't it?
Yes.
Have you seen them doing it? But they do demonstration, isn't it? And then the police come to beat them up and protect them. So all these molds which are being put on us, the Public Order Act, which is in Article 37, was for pre-colonial era. Genz don't want to deal with it. They were not there during those colonial era. So Genz have shown us some things that sometimes people put us in a mold, then tell us to behave according to the mold, but this mold is designed for them, not for us. And I think that was a message which has been sent. So Tina, I'm trying to say that a revolution has already taken place. Anybody still thinking that we have not done a revolution is dreaming. I heard someone saying that revolution takes place within 2 days. If not, then it fails. It has taken place from space to place. So when you saw people coming to the street, demanding their sovereignty and entering parliament, it means that they had already done the revolution in space. But now they are showing it in place. Just like when already you are accepting a man to marry you, when you are coming to the altar, you are just coming to prove that you are married, isn't it? But already you are married in space, isn't it? But now you are being married in place, where your father is there. When you are being asked, so will you marry this man? We are not expecting a no, of course, isn't it? If you say no, it will be news, isn't
because
it?
it already happened.
It's already happened.
Away from the public eye.
So whatever you are seeing happening there had happened in space. So revolution took place from space. But now what is happening in place, we are still not happy, but slowly by slowly, it is being done. Then another thing I want to warn, which I've said here, another lesson we've learned, and I think the only person who has not learned this lesson is the president and any person joining him. Revolution spares no general. So even if you threw away some general under the bus, you as the general, the revolution will sweep you. Has never spared any general. Look at all of them that took place in Egypt, the one that took place in Iraq, the one that took place in Sri Lanka, the ones that took place in, I've never seen, even if you go to the one that took place in Uganda, even the one that took place in Rwanda. So even if the president thinks that he's still the only regional remaining, he is just having a few hours. But eventually, him plus the people who have joined him, they are just being fattened, isn't it, for the slaughter. Because I believe that Genz have already done the revolution, a revolution has been done, and it is just a matter of time that we shall see now the actual on the place. Yeah.
So we saw the finance bill. Was that, after the Gen Zs came to play, was that a win or a fail, according to you?
For the Gen Zs. I think
And for the uttermost public,
this
of
was
course.
a big win.
It was a big win.
And why I'm trying to say this was a big win, it has taught the whole world. And what Kenyans have done, Nigerians are yet to take over. Nigerians normally say they're always ahead of us. But I think here Kenya is ahead of even Europe. Even there's no country in Europe that has ever done what these boys did and girls. They did an amazing job. So there's a lot of lessons that they did. How they organized themselves virtually, then came and executed it on the ground. It was amazing. No one ever knew exactly which form and format it will take until it happens. So they say it's about to happen, then see it is happening, it has happened. Like we are about to enter in parliament. We are now entering. Now we have entered.
Okay.
You see, it was just like everything was breaking news. So I believe that the execution by which it was done, even if you say they are leaderless, but I'm sure the collective leader in them, the collective, the leader here is collective leadership, was amazingly done. And I would say that there are some things that generation and generations will live. In fact, now, I've seen every generation trying to say, what did you do during our time? I see somebody say, no, for us, our work was to fight for freedom, independence, Mau Mau. Then some people say, for us, we have to build the nation. We were able to go to work, pay taxes. So everybody's trying to identify, which means now Generation Alpha is also saying, so what shall you do? Maybe Generation Alpha will be the one now who will now rebuild the nation. But Gen Zs have actually shattered all the molds and changed everything. And notable numbers. I saw that time when the president went to space, where revolution had actually taken place, it was clear.
Yeah.
He was called Baba Shalin. How often do you call the president Baba Shalin? And then there's another guy who said, that's bullshit. Then someone, no, you don't tell president bullshit. So no, it's bullshit. For us, we don't have table manners. Don't tell us how we talk. Bullshit, because it is not real shit. Bullshit means not real shit. Real shit is shit, but this is bullshit.
This is bullshit.
So they were very clear and telling, no, I'm going to repeat, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So, you know, table manners are not there. You know, American language. I know Genz is the connectivity between them, Americans, Canadians, Russians, Koreans. So they borrow good and bad manners, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Then they synthesize, then unleash them on you. So I think the president don't have a good time in space because he rules the place, he does not rule the space. But soon, we shall also take over the place.
So let's talk about the cabinet secretaries.
Yeah.
I don't know whether to call it a reshuffle or them being dismissed. I don't know what to call it. But what do you have to tell us about the cabinet secretaries, the then cabinet secretaries, and the ones who have currently been nominated? How do you feel about that?
First of all, I want to say is that the president is trying to play with what the Gen Z's demand were. And first of all, those demands were just three. Leadership, accountability, and good governance. Gen Z's are not even interested in the position he's thinking about. I heard him saying some want to overthrow him, to put who. For us, what we are demanding is leadership, accountability, and governance. And why they are saying Ruto must go, which you have to understand how we move from reject the finance bill to Ruto must go. When we say reject the finance bill, the Ruto who came to us showed us that he needs to go now. What I'm trying to say, if I give a simple example, I'm a married man. Today is Friday, isn't it? Many men tend to go home late today.
Yeah.
If your wife asks you, Fred, why have you come late? You see, the problem is coming late. If you slap her, the problem moves from coming late to domestic violence, isn't it?
Yes.
So when you say reject the finance bill, our problem was the finance bill. But now when you shot people and kill them, now we are saying now you must go. You see, so all the problems we are trying to tell Ruto to solve, he is now creating himself as an enemy of Gen Zs when the enemy was the good governance, accountability, isn't it? And the issue we talk about, the issue of leadership. So that's what is creating all these issues. So if you go to the cabinet, the issue was dissolve the cabinet. Now, we all do science. The word dissolve should not disturb you. You put salt inside the water, isn't it? It has dissolved, isn't it? Why are we still having salt?
Yeah.
So if you put the cabinet in the water and then they dissolve, they should disappear. They should not be there. So why are we having them again? I don't know whether he took this cabinet, went to dry them, then the salt came back, isn't it? It's the same salt. These guys, and what is interesting, if you read the Gazette notice the president did after dissolving the cabinet, it's very unfortunate he called them back. He said they were incompetent. They said they lacked, they could not deliver on the revenue collection. They could not create the employment the NCs are talking about.
Yeah.
They were corrupt, you understand me? And they did not be able to demonstrate accountability in office. Then you dismiss them, then you bring them back. Now I was seeing the interview being done, it's a mockery.
Yeah.
When you hear someone saying that, you see Kindiki, somebody asking him a question, you are dressing like a policeman, you stop being a civilian. When you go back, will you do the same thing? Then you say, I will not do it again. It's like a cheating husband or wife, for example, who says, I won't do it again, and then they come back and do it. He said in the media that no mandamano, if you do, we shall crush you. That is a CS interior, saying we'll crash. What is crashing? What happened in Kware?
Yeah.
That's not crashing. That's not crashing. What happened on Parliament Road? So when you say that, then you come back to office. You know, there's what you call responsible command. Kindiki didn't shoot any single Gen Z, but he commanded the shooting. The same Kindiki, in the mandamano that was organized by Raila, he illegally illegalized a legal demonstration by saying it is illegal. He was going against the law, and he's a law professor. So as far as I'm concerned, it is so hurting when you appoint people who are already in the problem. Now, let me talk about the newcomers.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, if you look at, if you are a coach, for example, as a leader, I'm sure, Tina, you are also a coach. You coach people in life here and there. When you have gone for the first half and you have been beaten 10-0, when you do substitution, do you remove third 11 and replace it with the fourth 11? Now, look, CS Agriculture, the PA to the CS who didn't perform is the one who has been brought, isn't it? Education, the former running mate or the former CS Education has come in. Are you substituting somebody, remove Ronaldo, then you replace him with Olunga?
Do you feel that probably we don't have competent people in the country, that's why this is happening? Or why do you think the president is doing this and making these decisions?
First of all, the president does not like competent people next to him. And this is clear because the president has a personality. He likes people who will pamper him. You know, if you like being pampered, you like looking, you're very intelligent. The president is playing a strategy I call the wingman theory. The wingman theory is a strategy whereby if you are a man, and when I was living in Barcelona, I was being taught some of these things by my Spanish friends, that Spanish women liked very intelligent men. So if you want to go and seduce a Spanish woman, you go with another not so intelligent man, so that he looks very stupid, so that you look very intelligent. Yeah. You know, when you are next to a fool, even if you are not very intelligent, you look very intelligent. Like now, if I'm very dark, isn't it? If I get next to you, I look very dark. You understand? But if I go next to a Sudanese, I might actually look chocolate brown. So the president is not very intelligent, so he has to surround himself with not so intelligent people so that he looks like the most intelligent person in the cabinet meeting. Remember, the cabinet has got the president, deputy president, 14 or 22 ministers, and attorney general. So when he's sitting there, he's the most intelligent person in that room. Now, you may think I'm just joking. Let me ask you a question. Tina, if you look at the president with all these cabinet people in a cabinet meeting, tell me any one single person who can disagree with him. Is there anyone who is so educated, worth their salt, and has got the, I don't want to say what I'm saying, but I'm saying has got to tell the president you are wrong?
Are you trying to say they don't have balls, basically?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay. You know, I didn't know that's allowed in this show, but of course now, if that's the case, then we allow. But you see, Professor Magoha had the balls to tell Uhuru that this cannot work. Remember, Professor Magoha, there's something we share in common. I'm an old boy of St. Mary's Yala like him. During the interview, we told the people that I don't need this job. This job needs me. Tell me if there's any cabinet minister there who can tell those people in parliament they don't need the job. So we are looking at a time when you go to a cabinet that you do not need, but needs you. That's when you're a servant leader. Let me just get off Kenya so that I can give you a nice example. When Obama became the president of the US, the first time, 2008, I remember I was doing my studies in Spain, he went to a very renowned economist and told him, I would like you to come and serve in my government. The economist was working in the private sector. The guy looked at Obama and told them, really? I don't think I want this one. So after a bit of convincing, he told Obama, give me 3 weeks. Can you imagine, Tina, if there's anybody in Kenya who can tell the president, give me 3 weeks? Some of us immediately, they tell you, you have changed your Twitter handle, you have changed your dressing, your speeches have changed, you are talking like a CS, walking like a CS, jumping like a CS, even before being passed through parliament. So we are looking at a time when a president will struggle to get the most qualified. And Singapore said, get your best and brightest to serve in the government. Is these people the best and brightest? Some of the Gen Zs who are on the street, they are more qualified than those people. Yet for them, they eat tear gas, while these people are telling me, I am worth 500 million shillings. And the Gen Zs, they have no job. Seriously, I mean, if you are worth 500 something million shillings and you are not qualified to serve the cabinet, go do a business. The Gen Zs even have no startup capital. They have no job. They should be the one, if they are competent, come and earn some standard salary, retire, then after that go start a business.
Now, talking on that, what is your take on the labor export that we are seeing, which is huge, you know, to our president, current president? What is your take on the labor export?
The problem with the labor export, as an economist, is that you never export your worst. You always export your best.
Yeah.
Even, for example, if you're in financial distress at home, you cannot sell the shoes you use for going to the garden. You'll sell the one you go to church with. You'll sell the ones you go to corporate meetings with. So we are taking our best and brightest to go and do the worst out. You know, you see the contradiction?
Yes.
Because they are going to wash old people, isn't it? Maybe take care of the sick people. And they are going to be demeaned and look down upon them. That's why Gen Z says, we want to work in Kenya, we want to live in Kenya, we want to holiday in Kenya, we want to retire in Kenya, we want to die in Kenya.
Exactly.
Because the people here have told us, not directly, but through how they treat you, that you are not welcome. You tell me if you can go abroad and become a CEO of a big bank there as a Kenyan. When it happens, it's always big news, breaking news in Kenya. It happens once in a blue moon. So as far as I'm concerned, we are taking our best and brightest out there, and we are giving them the worst. Yet, if we give them the best here, they can build our economy. The second thing is that it is not really true that actually these people are going out. Because I heard the president saying that he will be taking 500 people per day, is per month, to abroad. And since he said it, we should be having around 120,000 people. Tina, do you know anybody whom you know, either a relative or a friend or neighbor who has gone?
Through the president, no, but I know we are seeing a lot of migration.
No, those people are doing on their own. So that president thing is a lie, because if 120,000 people leave Kenya, maybe even us in the showroom here, maybe somebody should know one by saying, this person I know went through this program and did that. The same thing about the issue of house construction. It has employed 240,000 people, isn't it? But none of us, all the time, the people who are in my WhatsApp group of the jobless corner, still in the jobless corner in the WhatsApp group, even you have some of them, isn't it? The relatives you have in mind, whenever you hear anything, tell me. Whenever you hear anything, those ones you get them, isn't it?
Yes.
They are still there. Why have you not connected them to go abroad? So the fact that none of them has gone and told you, Tina, I was telling you to get anything, now I've gotten something. Those lists have not changed. So according to me, it's propaganda, because I saw something that Mudavadi was flagging some people from Western to go. People asking, how are they recruited? Was it advertised? Was it transparent? Or these are people who have come to take photos, they have been employed to take photos, then they go back. We still do not know. So there's a lot of lack of transparency. That's why Genz were very concerned. Remember, in 5 minutes, we can tell the truth and untruth. That's how good we are. We can do scan quickly and say, that guy, that's your wife was in the photo and is going abroad. So tomorrow we see them cooking for you, guys. Then say, by the way, how comes your wife was in the photo going abroad is here? Like one of the photos, of the one of Musalam Davadi, that there's a lady I know. She works in a parish where I was working before as a seminarian. And I call her, she tells me she's not going anywhere.
Okay, wait.
So I'm saying
so this is someone you know?
Yes.
Who is still here?
Is working in a parish somewhere in Rwanda, and I know. So there are two things there. One, if it is true they are going, then we are losing the best and brightest. Then secondly, if it is that they are going, we don't have transparent ways to corroborate that. And then, of course, lastly, we have not seen any movement, significant changes in movement in diaspora remittance.
Yeah.
Because if you are taking 500 per month to get a job outside there, then we should see some clarity, some significant changes in diaspora remittance. If you check, it is going down. It's not going up. So there's a lot of untruth there. And then I think this is not the last. Let me say this the last now. The last one is the qualification required for you to go abroad. Many people don't merit. And that's why the most lie is to get a passport in Kenya. You know how much it costs. No one is printing them now. Government services are in trouble, but the person will get back their job. And then in the same wavelength, you discover that for you to go to Germany, if you go to the German website, you must have around 350,000 shillings in your account balance, isn't it? How many people have this? So if you are telling me you are taking 500 people per month, how many Kenyans are having this money to put in
But
their
we saw somewhere where he said he's willing to pay the air ticket and sponsor them. Are you saying that's also a lie?
I want to go abroad. Tell him to pay for me, I'll go. So what I'm trying to say here is that there are enough Kenyans who wants to go in a free ticket. My brother, my sister, Tina. Everybody would like to go. Yeah, but I'm telling you, there's none. How comes even taking people for these trips it becomes a big deal when people come least and the rest? Who has been paid for? So as far as I'm concerned, the amount of money we need to implement Rutonomics is too expensive.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to say the following. Let me tell you what. The president is his own enemy. In fact, the president does not need Raila to be opposition to go down. The president does not need Genz to bring him down. Because what he's doing himself can kill him without even a Genz going to the street. Like you see, immediately he was given some fresh air. He went to Mombasa, and in the website we had counted 1,257 lies, isn't it? So we deleted them to start now looking for the new lies, isn't it? For Mombasa, he came up with 57 lies. And that's one of them. It's clearly a lie. Like now, KPLC will give us free Wi-Fi throughout the country, isn't it? Now, go and check whether KPLC has a license to offer data. It's not you do not need to be a fool to know that. Just even my grandmother in the village will just check and say that's a lie. In fact, my grandmother told me, you're Wongo. Because KPLC has not registered a license to offer internet, isn't it? And then you're saying they will offer. You know, this is certainty. So as far as I'm concerned, it does not need. Look at I told you about the finance bill when you go back a little bit. The president has not been able to pass any budget which is constitutionally sound. His first maiden budget, he found a budget that was done by Uhuru Kenyatta, which was 3.6 trillion. Then he did a supplementary budget immediately and took it to 3.7 trillion. Then now his maiden budget which was done in 2023, was around 3.7 trillion. Now we are having a budget of 4.2 trillion, and every means of how to collect that money is irregular and illegal and unconstitutional.
Okay.
So the question is, even to the Gen Z, is it possible that the president can go down without us even going to the street? Yes, it is possible.
So
But the only thing we need to ensure, if he can keep the law without flouting the law, he won't. If he can keep the same incompetent people next to him, like the likes of the cabinet he has, and now then parliament, parliamentarians who are lawmakers, who cannot pass a bill that complies to law, which kind of parliament is this? And look here, those parliamentarians are his people, because UDA is the one who gave them the ticket, isn't it, to run on his party. Did he know he wanted MPs who can hold him accountable and who can help him present bills that can actually pass through parliament that can be compliant with the law? If the court, their work is not to make law, their work is just to enforce the law. How can they be better at interpreting the law than the lawmakers? So according to me, it's like saying, God, our creator, does not know how to create us, that for us we can fault God on his creation. God cannot be less interpretive of the nature. God knows about nature more than we do, because God created us, he's all-knowing. How can parliament be less effective in interpreting law than court? According to me, this is what will bring him down.
We are running out of time,
Yes.
but you were an economic advisor to the then President Kibaki.
Yes.
In a nutshell, what would you advise the president to do that was implemented then, that you found to be successful, that you think he can implement now and make it successful?
Yeah, let me tell the president that one thing that Kibaki tried to do much was to ensure that he followed the constitution, so that we are not always antagonizing with the civil society, Law Society of Kenya, among other civil society, and Kenyans in general. Followed the law of Kenya, and then followed the policy. And then another thing that Kibaki did was that Kibaki was not somebody who talked a lot. Kibaki did.
It was more action.
Yeah, it was more action. And then the other thing that Kibaki did, Kibaki never wanted to be at the center. Kibaki wanted Kenyans to be at the center. Of course, people can fault him for one thing there. There's no perfect human being. Neither am I, neither you are. We are not a complete project until we go back to God. That's when we shall know how perfect we are. Because on the day I'm dying, if I go to hell, then I'm sure that I was not good. But if God welcomes me next to Abraham, then I know, and none of us know that until we die. So Kibaki was more concerned about Kenya. And I want to give you one critical example. The day somebody went to Kibaki and they wanted to name Thika Highway, Kibaki Highway, Kibaki asked a question, so, iyo barabara inaenda wapi? Then they said Thika. It's called Thika Highway. How many people, if Ruto had a chance now to name Thika Highway, what would be its name? Ruto Highway, isn't it? Na tungechoma mbaya sana. So anyway, what I'm trying to say in short is that Kibaki never went there. Then let me go a little bit to economics. Before Kibaki went for any economic policy, you had to tell Kibaki 1 + 1. And let me reveal something very interesting here. There are so many Kenyans, when we are advising Kibaki in economics, this I don't mention them because it's somebody, I don't want to mention his name here. He proposed to Kibaki to build the skyscrapers in Nairobi to look like London, 100, 200 floors. So when I came in to give my advice, I told Kibaki, if you build 200-floor building in Nairobi, and you have not educated Kenyans, who will operate those floors? Who will do those lifts? So ignore the infrastructure, build the people. Put money on people first. Kibaki understood that point immediately. Like, tell me how I'll do that. So we did the statistics. I think this is important for you to know. That time we had 12,500,000 households in Kenya. So we said if every household pays in school fees average of 250,000 per term or per year in education, you can actually offer free primary education. Visa will pay, MasterCard can help you do it. Then this money becomes like a stimulus package to the economy. If you are spending 250,000 shillings in school fees a year, you'll buy something like a cloth, you'll buy a phone, and this money pays taxes. So Kibaki understood that very easily. And if I leave economics, because Kibaki had very economics that must add up, I go to the last part that I think this should be the most important advice to William Ruto. William Ruto should stop being one-man show.
Yeah.
Kibaki was not a one-man show. You could see if something went wrong, somebody could blame somebody, but not Kibaki. But you know, William Ruto is doing everything in all ministries, in all departments. So wherever anything goes wrong, it is him. Do you know that is what is setting people against him? Because if opposition is collapsing, you are the cause. Like he was being accused for destroying Jubilee. Now you are destroying Azimio. Now you are destroying I don't know what. So he needs to stop being a one-man show. And how do you do that? Let me tell you. There's what you call EMDA. E, executive order. Kibaki issued executive order. Executive order could say, I want free primary education. Or Ruto can say, I want us to have 20,000 kilometers of tarmac. That's an executive order. Then you should keep quiet. Then M is ministerial policy. So the Minister for Transport will go and come with a policy on how to be able to bring about the development of 20,000 kilometers of road. So that's M. Then D is PS in charge of road and transport. Now you talk about the one in charge of road construction. Can now go and come out with a framework on how to execute the building of these roads. Then D, there's A is an agency, like Kenha, Kura. They'll do their work. But now, the president is the president. He's the deputy president. He's the minister for road and transport. He's the PS for road construction. Then he is the MD of Kera, Kura. So then you can't work. You must just do what you have to do as a president, allow other people to do their work, so that your state officers can fairly earn their salary, not that you employ them, then you work for them, then you take their blame, then they tell you Ruto must go. According to me, this will help them.
Okay. So there you have it. I think I would love to have you back on our show. Unfortunately, we are running out of time.
Yes.
I have learned so much. But lastly, just again, nutshell, what would be your advice to the Genzs?
To the Genzs, what I would tell you is that do not think that you are done until you are done. Keep fighting, because if you give up, people will think you failed. Don't even think you've failed. You've already done the revolution. It's just that you're finishing the last bit of it. Keep focused. At the same time, and this is where I think maybe you need to think about it, don't see other generations as enemies. You have to find how they can be allies, because you need social intelligence and bring them as allies and then achieve something with them. Because remember, even if you're a Gen Z, the other generations, let everybody be involved. What you need to do is to find how you can invite them to be involved, so that everybody plays their role, so that when we win, everybody wins and we all win together, because everything should only be done for our country, and our country should be at the center of this battle. Thank you.
And to the government and to the current leaders, what would be your advice?
I would tell them that the most important quality of leadership is not the degrees that you are discussing in parliament, your net worth and the rest. It's honesty. Because if you don't have honesty, you lie about your net worth, you lie about your degree, fake degree, everything you can lie about your family. So honesty should be the number one quality of hiring anybody anywhere. Because without honesty, nothing else makes sense. Because I've seen people are qualified, but they cannot use their intelligence or qualification for the best of the country. That requires honesty. And lastly, I would say that we'll never have a right for any Kenya. No Kenya will ever have a right until we have the right person in State House.
Yeah.
So the process to do this requires a lot of sacrifices for every citizen. Because I see some people say they want to have a non-corrupt president, but they are not willing to vote without considering corruption. So the Ruto must go is not just about William Ruto. All the Ruto in us must die, must leave. Let us be all honest people. Let's evaluate leaders, vote them, promote them based on merit. Then we shall go somewhere. But if for you, you feel you want things to go the wrong way, But the only person who should do things right is William Ruto. Then all of us will get it right. So let all of us also look back and look at the mirror and say, what do I need to change in this person in the mirror? And then when we have the right person in the mirror, this country will change. This country will not change by all shouting at everyone. Everybody look at the mirror. And the only person you can change, you can only change the person in the mirror. Ruto can go, but another Ruto can come in. But if we don't change ourselves, then this change will be in exercise in futility.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in today. I think I've learned so much, and we are going to call it a wrap, but we are hoping to see you again on the Mentor Show. You're always welcome, and thank you so much for supporting the Gen Zs and the Gen Z revolution. Thank you so much, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much.